Logo ni assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. Come on.
Assalamualaikum.
Louder.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum. Habibi.
Bye.
Bye. They're starting to open the door and leave. We are in SOCOTRA, which is an island 2-hour flight off of the coast of Yemen in the Indian Ocean.
Yep.
And
It's hot as balls.
It's hot. It's hot. This is like a prehistoric land because it broke off from the continent of Africa at least 2 million years ago. And so all the nature has evolved on its own trajectory. And so you have incredibly exotic trees.
We're going to see the blood tree right now.
A tree that bleeds dragon's blood. We came to Yemen to do a story on basically the truth or untruth of Al-Qaeda in Yemen. But Shane was like, if we're going to Yemen, we have to go to SOCOTRA. I don't care, I'll buy a helicopter. And so, based on Shane's demands, we took 2 days to go to this prehistoric land of the lost island. And
since it's 2 hours drive in the hot heat, we decided to do a spike set spent Saturday with.
So,
How does this dagger look? Shitty or good?
good. We're doing the official, full-blown, deconstructed Rolling Stone Playboy Shane Smith interview. We're gonna get to know every inch of your cranium and body by the end of this interview.
Are we gonna touch moles?
Probably.
Yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. You're one of the driving forces behind this whole Vice thing,
Yeah.
right? Why did you start Vice?
Because I couldn't get a job.
Where were you living?
I was living in Budapest, being a criminal, and I came back from my brother's wedding.
What kind of criminal?
You know, buying and selling money illegally, arbitrage.
What's that mean?
So buying and selling money.
Yeah.
And I came back from my brother's wedding, and I met Sarush Alvi, who was just out of rehab, and I was on acid. And I was like, oh, you're from Pakistan. I'll show you how to throw a googly, which is a type of cricket throw.
Yeah. How old were you guys?
24.
Yeah.
I was 24, Sarush was 25. And then we became best buddies, and then we were working at a place called Voice of Montreal. It was a make-work project for Haitian immigrants and us. And then after a while, they owed us money and they couldn't pay us, so we took it and we dropped the O and we called it Vice, and then that was it. That's when we...
So you stole the magazine from a non-profit organization that was trying to help Haitians?
Correct.
Dude, that's kind of not that nice.
Yeah. And we were on welfare, too. The government paid for us.
Wow.
Yes.
Then what?
So in
Why'd you-
1998, when
Yeah.
we came down to the States,
Yeah, why'd you move to the States?
well, so we were interviewed by a newspaper. We made up this story that Larry Flint was going to buy us,
Uh-huh.
and then and there was someone else, Conrad, and then this guy named Richard Shawinski, who was like the richest guy in Montreal. Richard Shawinski read it in
Yeah.
the newspaper, and he called us and he said, "Who are you fucking guys?" So we went to lunch at his restaurant, and someone came in saying, "Shane's hungover or something," and he goes, "Oh, you drink?" I said, "Oh, I can drink." He goes, "Okay, drink that bottle of whiskey," and I drank half the bottle of Jack Daniels. And then had to sit there at lunch and negotiate with him. And so he's like, we talked to him for the lunch, and he goes, it's a Friday. And he goes, okay, I want to see you guys Monday. I want to be your partner. So we went away on the weekend, and we didn't know how to value a company. We didn't know anything. And we have the paper somewhere. It's called The Price of Vice, and it's got doodles all over it. And it was basically, we're so stupid. It was like, there's 3 of us, right?
Yeah.
The fourth partner to come in at an equal share is $1 million. So that valued it at $4 million, and we would get the $1 million because it was worth nothing. It was worth, whatever. So he looked at it. He said, "That's a lot of money." He signed it. I don't know why. He signed it, and we just got whisked off, and all his minions gave us money, and they gave us 50 grand each just to hold us over until we got all the rest of the money. And we didn't know what to do. I remember running in circles outside, screaming at the top of my lungs. And so, because none of us had ever had any money. So then he brought us down to New York for the e-commerce.com revolution thing in the 90s. And so we came down and we were sort of fascinated with cocaine and supermodels and streetwear and just shit.
Yeah.
We were like, we're so rich, it's crazy, .com, hooray. And then obviously, boom. He had about 25 companies and they all went bankrupt. And we were the only company that didn't go bankrupt.
And how did you get it back from the...
We bought it back. That's a long story, but we bought it back. We bought it back for pennies on the dollar and it wasn't worth anything. And then we moved to Brooklyn and we just started from scratch, like started from nothing. And so we only really became Vice when we got back to being poor and punk and started expanding in our own way and having our own voice and owning our own company and doing it our way.
Describe the different periods and what the magazine wrote about and what the voice, like what the tone was in the Montreal years or the early Brooklyn years.
In the beginning, we were all about making up shocking stories. We made them up. So that was the beginning, was sort of like National Enquirer type shocking stuff combined with like hip hop and punk rock, right? And then when we came down to the States, it was more of like we were drunk at our Christmas party and we're like, look at little Eric Lavoie, who was my intern he's only had one job. He started working for us when he was 17. And we're like, look at that little guy. Let's do a whole issue on him. So like every article, every fashion shoot, every record review was all him.
Yeah.
And we just loved it. Like we thought that was funny as hell. And like half the people would say that's really funny and half the people would say, fuck you, Vice, I hate you, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
And we always said actually from the beginning, either have people love you or hate you, but just don't be in between. And it's the same thing with all our good issues, like the Iraq issue, where we gave the whole issue over to Iraqis during the war, or the special issue.
What's the special issue?
We gave the whole issue to a group called How's Your News, which is a group that does news. They're mentally challenged. I was really proud of that. And then when we went out into the world more, we were like, oh, there's a lot of bad things happening. We have a media platform, and what are we talking about? A pair of Nikes that you can only get in Tokyo between 2 and 6, So we got a little bit more serious. It became more international, for sure. Like when we had 2 employees and we're in Montreal, it's different than having 750 employees in 40 countries. It's just a different entity.
What were some of the pieces that you guys did?
Well, a lot of the pieces that have made...
defining.
Yeah. A lot of the pieces that made VBS famous were actually mag pieces. So like gun markets in Pakistan, butt naked in the Tupac army. We shot heavy metal in Baghdad. I think we do things in a different way. We call it, immersionism. So we come here and we just travel around and we see shit and we say, this is what we saw. Maybe it's not 100% correct, obviously. You can't do it all in a couple of weeks or whatever. And I always used to say, like, if you're looking at Vice for being news and the truth, then you're in trouble. Because we didn't come up as like, I'm Jesus on my cross. We came up as, yeah, it's totally cool, fucking shoes. Vice guide to fucking eating pussy. Vice guide to fucking you in the ass. I don't know if you heard of the thing called Jackass. We were like that. We're not the best because we're the best. We're the best because we're the tallest of the midgets. But we want to get back to being the best just for being the best. And that's why we're putting Viceland, VBS, and Vice all together as one beautiful baby boy. Online and in the mag and everything. We're just because we built Vice, and then we built Viceland, and then we built VBS, and they all are kind of a little bit separate, but they all have the same voice, the same attitude, the same people working on it. So we're like, why don't we just put them all together?